Great. You have a personal development plan for your life. You know what areas of life you want to improve in, and you have a plan in order to set it into action and get the results that you want. But how is it that we can monitor and review this plan each week so that we can guarantee that we make progress in these different areas? Well, I have a strategy that I want to share with you that will only take you a few minutes each week that will heavily impact the results that you get in your life. Let's get right to it. What you track will grow. When I first created my personal development plan for myself back in my early 20s, I made some progress, right? I wrote down the goals that I wanted to achieve with my fitness, with my finances, with my emotions, relationships, all the goals in the 5 main key areas of life. And I started to make slow progress, right? I made inches towards those goals, and I started with my emotions, and then I went to my finances. But the problem that I had was I wasn't constantly tracking the results that I got. And this is something that I see so many different people run into when they create a new goal or a new aspiration for themselves. They'll create the goal, and then they'll forget about the goal. Right? They write it down once in their journal, which is still better than what most people do. Most people don't have many goals for their life at all. But they'll write it down once and then they'll forget about the goal. And they never look at the goal. And they don't have a vision board that they can go back to and wake up to every single morning where they see that goal plastered on their wall. Or they run into the same problem that 97% of the population runs into, which is they'll set their goals once per year and they'll call it a New Year's resolution. Right? And we all know what happens to New Year's resolutions. February 15th comes around a month and a half later and they stop going after the goal. And all the gyms start to become empty again. And people start to get their taxes back and spend recklessly. And they start to go back into the same patterns and rituals that they were in before. And what I'm going to suggest to you in this video is not to set your goals every single day. Right? Personally, I write my goals down every single morning, but that's not what you need to do. Remember, what you track grows. And if you're not currently tracking your goals or your personal development plan, then there's a strategy that I picked up a long time ago that I use every single week, every single Sunday night. I'll sit down, I'll take my journal here, and I'll ask myself 3 very specific questions that causes me to reflect on my past week so that I can track the progress that I've made towards my goals and I can track my overall fulfillment of life in that moment. And I want to show you what those 3 questions are. So check it out. Now hold on just a minute. I just noticed that you weren't subscribed to the channel. So go down here, hit that red subscribe button, and then next to it, hit that bell. When you hit the bell, you're turning on notifications so you see all the new videos that we release on this channel every single week. Now let's get back to it. These are the 3 questions that I ask myself at the end of every single week, every single Sunday night. And a big part of this is really adding to your calendar the fact that you're going to reflect on the past week. If you don't carve out 15 to 20 minutes of your time and put it into your calendar, then things are going to come up. Engagements with different people, your wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, they'll want to go get dinner that night and you end up not doing this, right? You have to actually plan it into your calendar. If it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist, at least in my opinion. So that's what I personally do. And what I do is I put it in my calendar, I sit down on the couch in my little goal setting zone that I sit in every single morning, and I grab my journal that I just showed you, and I write down my weekly reflection. And underneath that, I write number 1. And the very first question that I ask myself every single Sunday night is, what are 5 big successes that I've had this past week? What are 5 really good things that happened to me from Monday all the way through Sunday? Did I make a sale that really made me proud? Did I make a new friend? Did I network with some new people? Did I go into a key conversation that I was really absolutely proud of and got the result that I want? Or this could be something as simple as, I didn't eat a bag of chips all week, or I ate 1 bag of chips all week versus 1 bag every single day, or I cut down on my ice cream intake by 50%. Right? That's a big step for a lot of people. When I first started my weight loss journey, not eating ice cream like every other night, that was a big success for me. So I put that down on my list. And then you're gonna find 4 more things that were a big gigantic success for that week. And if you're watching this and you're writing down your personal development plan and you're keeping track of this every Sunday night or whatever day of the week that you choose, it doesn't have to be Sunday. And if you're somebody who's saying, well, Brandon, I didn't really have many successes this week. Well, let me ask you this. If you had to put on a piece of paper 5 amazing things that happened to you this week, and you couldn't leave the spot that you're sitting in until you put those down on the paper, what would you write down? If you had to find 5 things that were semi-great, semi-successful, even if they weren't completely successful, what are 4 to 5 things that were a big success for you that week? And that's question number 1. Then I write number 2, and I move to the second question, which is, what did you realize about yourself this week? Did you realize that you can have difficult conversations? Did you realize that by eating a certain way, you can have a specific amount of energy throughout your day? Did you realize that by going to the gym in the morning, you have so much more energy to use throughout your days, weeks, and the conversations you have, so on and so forth? Did you realize that maybe you are creative? You can make up great new ideas and share them with a group of people, right? What is something, it could be one thing, it could be 10 things, 20 things that you realized about yourself this week? And this question has a few different layers because the next part of it is, what made you feel great? Now, this could be similar to your big successes, or it could be something completely different. But the reason we ask ourselves these questions is what you focus on expands. Just like what you track will improve, what you focus on, you tend to find more of those things. So if every week you're finding things that were big successes and you're realizing new things about you and something made you feel great, you're going to become more attuned to notice more of these things in your everyday life so that every Sunday night when you sit down to do this and reflect, you're able to find more and more and more things. And you might even find it difficult to choose just 5 or just one thing that you realized or just a few things that made you feel great. You're going to have a whole avalanche of ideas come to you every time you sit down and do this. And the third question that I ask myself is, what new things did I learn this week? What did you learn? Maybe it doesn't have to be a brand new concept, but maybe you improved in a specific area. Maybe you've been reading this book on sales and you're a salesperson and it helped you to close some deals or have some conversations that you wouldn't have otherwise had. Maybe you learned, hey, maybe I actually am really good at this miscellaneous skill that I never thought I'd be good at. Or maybe you went to the mountain and skied down the mountain or snowboarded or snowmobiled or did something. If you live in somewhere sunny, maybe you went by the ocean. Maybe you tried something new. And if you did, write down, what is it that you learned this week? There's always something we're learning, right? And if you really feel like you haven't learned a thing that week, then it might be a good idea to implement some kind of learning or reading ritual into every single one of your mornings so that technically by the end of the week on Sunday, you might have 7 different things that you've learned that week. Learning new things expands your brain, right? It makes it more capable of learning and improving in other areas. Even if this thing that you learned is completely out of your current skill set, it'll make you better in all the different areas of your life. And the sub question that I ask under this question, the last one on this sheet here, is what will you do different this coming week? Maybe last week you didn't get the result that you wanted. What are you going to change? What are you going to do differently in order to, not guarantee, but in order to more effectively do what it is you want to do? What are you going to adjust? In the ultimate success formula that we've talked about many different times on this channel, the 4th step in that process is to adjust your approach. When you're not getting the result that you want, if you continue to do the same thing, that is the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So instead, why not do something different? Why not try a new strategy, a new technique that could get us the result that we want? So you only need to come up with 1 or 2 or 3 things here, but what are you going to do different this coming week? So I ask myself all 3 of these questions. I label it my weekly reflection. It takes me about 15 minutes now. The first time you do this, it might take you 20, maybe 25 minutes, maybe not even that long, right? You might already be pretty attuned to these things. But what you're going to find happens here is after you start doing this for even a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, you're gonna look back at all the progress that you made and you're gonna say, wow, look at how far I've come in all these different areas. You're gonna be able to look back in your journal at all the things that you wrote down in previous weeks, and you're gonna say to yourself, whoa, look at all the advancement and the progression that I've made over the last 3 to 6 months. You're gonna look at yourself and you're gonna realize you are a completely new and improved version of yourself. And I know that this will serve you well. Now that you know how to monitor and review your personal development plan so that you can make more progress, click the first link in the description below, because what I want to do is give you a free digital copy of my book called Be Extraordinary, Your Guide to Self-Mastery. This book will help you take the 5 key areas of life, and it will give you strategies that you can use after you did your weekly reflection that will help you to make progress in the individual areas of life. Click the link below, enter your name and your email, and I'll send you over a free digital copy.